In this episode of the Churchfront Show, we are going to dive into some of the AVL designs we're working on for our own churches, as well as for some of our client churches here. We're going to walk you through some of the spaces and kind of brainstorm together some of the projects that our team is collaborating on. And then we're also going to feature some cool tools that are available. This transcription software for your production comms, a free presentation software that looks very similar to other presentation software solutions out there for churches. So lots of cool things coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of the Churchfront Show. So glad you are joining us, whether you are on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe, as we are always creating new content on these channels for your worship and production ministry. In today's show, we'll be touching on some cool new products that we've come across for the worship and production space. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest gadgets out there, definitely listen to the end. And then we're going to do some design overview in this episode and kind of share some ideas on some AVL designs we're working on, both for our own ministries as well as for client ministries for folks who are in the Accelerator program. So to kick off today's show, I wanted to actually talk about this question that was sent in to us. And you guys can always send questions if you want. Put them in the comments. Maybe we'll see them there. Or you could go to churchfront.com and we'll definitely see the tickets as they come in there. And maybe, you know what? I'm just thinking about this at the top of my head, guys. Like if we see a ticket that's like a question for the Churchfront Show, we just kind of put it aside and then we can go back to it when we record for the show. So that could work. Luke and Adam, they need more tickets to field on the website. Okay, so here's the question. I was wanting to pursue a career as a production director in a church. I currently serve on the production team and getting hands-on experience. My question is, if I was to take all courses offered through Churchfront, would I be equipped to get a career in the industry, or would you recommend I still attend college for this? What do you think, guys? Should he go spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars on a college degree to learn psychology and philosophy and history and working on group projects in a college setting to be a production director, or should he just use our courses and hands-on experience?
What do you think, Adam?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, no, I have someone that did go to college for 2 years. Oh, I didn't tell you guys this. This is fun. Paying off my student loans on Friday. It's only been 10 years. So that's great. I'm using my real world life income where I learned how to do production to pay off the student loans. No, I think that in this era, like the education space is so different than it was 10 years ago. That the online courses and the coaching, honestly, just like getting real world experience is where you're going to see the most ROI.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. I went to a 4-year degree for worship arts, and also in the process took American Civilization as one of the courses that, I'll never use any part of that in my work environment. And still I'm not paying off my student loans on Friday. That will take a little bit more time than that, but I would say that unless you're going to go really specialized trade, no. Because there are guys, like what I found out we just had Drew Brashler on the podcast. He went to a higher education degree program and got I think more of a focused, specific attention, it was just around audio. And so they learn voltage and amps and, studio environment stuff. And the other guy that comes to mind is Jeff Sandstrom, that went to a studio program. But again, so much of that is transitioned to being you don't have to go to a 4-year degree to get that experience or that knowledge anymore. So I don't think it's really worth the investment these days. And I think your learning is exponentially increased with hands-on experience over sitting in a classroom waiting to apply that knowledge. So I would encourage people to get hands-on experience as soon as possible.
A few factors I'd keep in mind in this conversation is it is different from individual to individual. There are some people who are so self-motivated and disciplined when it comes to learning new skill sets and knowledge that they need, that they can use YouTube and they can use things they Google on the internet, and they'll just like figure it out, right? Like I think the
Mm-hmm.
three of us have elements of that, in our personalities, but there are other folks who like really need a set curriculum that will kind of take them by the hand and walk them through things step by step by step, um, until they've completed the curriculum and then they hopefully learned all the things, and maybe they have to prove they learned it through tests or assessments or stuff like that. That's great. I mean, again, I think it's for some folks that might be a better route to go, or it might be helpful to make sure you cover all the bases. But specifically with production and audio, I would look into some of these more alternative schools. Like, I'm not going to say Churchfront. We're not like a Full Sail university. A Full Sail university is definitely more specialized on like, hey, audio, video production, kind of entertainment industry. I'm assuming they would have like a shorter 1 or 2 year degree, because to me it doesn't make sense to need to spend much more time than 1 or 2 like focus years learning these skills, and then after that you really have to get hands-on experience. And that's the other thing too. I'd say it's like you could be like taking courses, reading books, but if you're just not doing it and getting hands-on experience, like you're just not going to progress and learn these things well. So guys, in churches, like churches have a lot of churches out there have great, okay gear, and a lot of them have great gear, and basically want to give you experience for free, right? People dog on the whole idea of volunteering, but if you're a young teenager, 20 something year old, like you need to like learn like an apprentice would, and find
Mm-hmm.
someone who's good at it and go out of your way to shadow them and just learn all the things, right? And don't be a nuisance to them. You gotta, don't cause more work for people trying to train you. But that I think would be pretty cool, is like maybe just try to reach out to some of these churches that do maybe some of the internships, or find a larger church in your area and tell the production staff guy there, like, hey, I just want to make your life easier and just watch everything you do, and you don't need to necessarily like explain it, like let me just watch, right? And then maybe if you have time, I'll pay you to explain it to me, right? Like, I don't know, like you
Yeah.
got to keep that in mind, because it's not having interns. Like for Churchfront to have interns, like we don't have time for interns right now, because we have a lot that has to get done, but it's like so hard to like actually train people, right? We don't have the systems to do that yet efficiently. Maybe someday we will, but I would just put yourself in those places where you can get these opportunities. But to answer the guy's ultimate question, it's like if he's self motivated, yeah, we have so much amazing material in our course library, and then when you pair that with our coaching and the accelerator, like we can hone in on what you need to work on and learn specific to your situation. And yeah, you can easily be qualified for a full-time role somewhere, pending during that training time you're actually getting hands-on experience alongside of the training. So I would say don't think you can magically log in at churchfront.com and you're all ready to be a full-time person without touching a console or a camera. Like, no, you gotta put the work and time and the reps in too. So
Yep. Good question.
okay. Yeah. Tell us more about this cool resource, this production comms resource that we came across here.
This production comps thing is actually pretty unique. Who has this up on their screen? Is it Adam?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is, I saw this kind of in the Facebook threads happening, and somebody built a code into a program that is transcripting your comm system. And so, I don't know what it's limited to in terms of brand or manufacturer, but the comms, as long as it's patched into the board and, there's a signal flow for it, it's transcribing everything into a window so that essentially your front of house guy can keep up to date with what's happening and what's needed. Even when they're not at the board, they can come back and see, somebody asked for an update in their monitor mix, or somebody's, adjusting a patch. Like they can come back and see that. One of the examples that was given, I think it was an overview video I watched, or maybe it was just in a comment section, was like when front of house guys have to go use the restroom before a gig, but they don't want to miss like any adjustments in a line check or whatnot. They've they can hop back and see basically every single talkback mic and what they said. And you can hop kind of to different groups and see like, oh, this is my back line, this is my vocal lineup, and can see what people are either saying or asking for, and then make those adjustments accordingly. So not necessarily something I think I would use at a church, because we only have, front of house talkback and drums talkback. But I guess if you had more talkback mics integrated into your ecosystem, could be a really cool tool to use to keep the back and forth to a minimum.
Like Jake and I went to a church in Chicago, and we were there for services, and they had the full team on comms, and I was mixing. I just did not like mixing with an over-the-ear system on. So for me, I'd love to just keep the comms off and see what the production team's talking about, because there weren't a lot of things that like specifically were requested for audio. Maybe a few times, but I would have been able to take care of it just seeing what people, when it was transcripted.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great idea. Man, imagine having and then at your workstation, yeah, you have a screen, you can look at it, and then the configuration looks straightforward. You're just adding a new channel, you tell it what audio source to take audio in from, and then it's just transcribing it in real time. So that's impressive. With the caveat, none of us have actually tried it, and it's only got 2 ratings in the App Store. So don't go buying stuff that's like, oh, Churchfront told me to buy it and it's horrible. No, this show is like, hey guys, these are just cool ideas, cool things people are working on. We want you to be aware of. This is not sponsored stuff. Like, just if you need this thing, maybe consider it, see if it might work for you.
I just don't know what's doing the transcription, if it's AI or if it's like I'm assuming there's something in there that's working pretty hard to process the transcription, but I just think it's cool that you like think about if you had another room or another space and you linked that comm unit into this app. Like you could be talking with an overflow room, you could be talking with another campus, there's a lot that they're using Maddie in the protocol here, so I'm assuming that channels like Dante would work as well. But it just kind of opens up, like even in its early stages of just being a show control app, it opens up a lot of possibilities for, I think, the church in the future of, just scalability again, to be able to interact with beyond just texting somebody or being on Planning Center chat. Like I think those, this might be kind of the way of the future, is having like live audio input being transcribed for communication. So really interesting product.
All right. Up next, Luke, I think this was another one of your finds, this production handbook.
Oh,
might have been Adam's.
This beautiful
Nope, Luke found
handbook.
this one.
This was I don't know if you guys have listeners, Church of the Highlands, really large church, lots of robust systems, but one of my friends sent me this link for their production handbook, and I just immediately sent it to the team because I was drooling over the organization and kind of the stuff that they cover. So you can, we'll put the link in the show notes because it's a public website. It's not private. And I think, Adam, you found out it was built like on a free website builder, right? It's nothing super complex.
Yeah. Wiki.js.
Yeah.
I opened it up. It looked pretty nerdy. But the thing that I liked about it was I saw a login option. So, at Churchfront, we have built templates for and recommend using Notion, which depending on the plan you're on, has some limits and you might have to pay for it. You can get a sign in, someone has to be signed in to see the data in case there is anything, that can't be public. So they probably have some things that only production team can see, like passwords, but a lot of it is just public. And so this is a super great resource. We use a lot of these abbreviations, and these are Highland specific, but yeah, a lot of this is really helpful for just anyone in production.
If you just need a good inspiration of what you should have on hand for your team, you could easily start with these categories of audio, video, graphics and lyrics, lighting, training, and they've got the different kind of categories of getting started. So you're getting up to speed with the terms that they use and what kind of campuses you're looking at, and then the equipment. And this just kind of helps you think through like, how do I resource my team? And even if this is just on a Google Doc or something that you have for your team, just having some sort of database, some sort of a team hub for where to direct people to, I think is a great step. And I think if you start this early, it's easier as you grow, as opposed to if you're huge and you have to scale backwards and kind of cover all your bases. Like, I think, starting early, even if you just have maybe 3 categories, maybe you just have audio and video and lyrics, and that's it. And like, you're not doing any kind of lighting or anything like that. Like this is a really, really great, maybe just template or inspiration to kind of take a look at. They've got great diagrams on here. I think there's a lot of humor routed in here. So I like that they kept it kind of light and fun. And, but what a great resource for inspiration. And I even learned a couple things as I was, thumbing through it. So really, really fun.
It's going to be funny. They'll see the analytics on this little website, get a ton of hits here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, but don't put the link in the YouTube description, so that everybody in YouTube asks for a link, and then it helps in the comments, and it helps the video performance. So
nice.
that's how we do it, right? That's how you game the system. Link. Can I get a link to this? Link.
Where's the link?
It literally reminds me of like the seagulls in Finding Nemo. It's like link. They're saying mine, but that's what I picture, like, metaphorically.
It's
All
amazing.
right, moving on. This next resource, Freeshow. Who's got that one?
Boom.
Right here.
Sweet. Tell us about it. What is it?
It's a free version of Proclaim / ProPresenter.
Oh.
But is it really free?
Let's see. Downloads. Oh, we're up to 1.15.
Nice.
Was on 0. Look at this, guys.
Wow.
13,000 downloads.
That's 130,000 downloads.
Yeah,
130,000 downloads. There's
we were talking about college earlier. Adam could have used maybe another year or two to read numbers, but
I only went for 2 years, guys, so.
So this is on Apple, PC, and Linux platforms. And from what I looked at it's almost an exact copy and paste of ProPresenter's UI, right? Like it's really not that different.
Yeah, what's the cost?
Yeah.
What's the catch here? Oh, wait. How is it?
I think it really is free.
ProPresenter does not have chords. Add chords and text. Freeshow has it.
Interesting.
What in the world?
Wow. I'm pretty sure ProPresenter has themes.
Yeah, ProPresenter definitely has themes. There's some misinformation here.
Okay, it's called Live Church Solutions. They're 501c3.
Nonprofit. Is it a pay what you can or pay what you want?
I don't know. And they maybe they just collect a ton of data and stuff when you sign up, maybe, and then they monetize that. Nothing is free, but I guess if you're, again, maybe it was funded by just a huge donor base of some sort or something like that. But man, you know what? They forgot to list, like, it would have been funny on the key features page where they compare it to like ProPresenter and Easy Worship. They should have put
Works
like
every Sunday.
Yeah. No, they should have put a line that's like, they should have put a line item that says like crashes, every time you, like, every 20 minutes. And then next to Freeshow, they put like an X, and then next to ProPresenter, they put a green check. ProPresenter. Can't stand it.
This is,
right.
Yeah, I might download this right now, guys.
I just want to see if now from what I've read or from what I've seen people who have downloaded it, there are some bugs. Like there's some, free software is going to have its stuff, but it's not like as smooth as it reads. So I'm interested to see what our experience would be if we put it through its paces, but it looks kind of nice.
Yeah. Really interesting. Well, we'll spend some time testing it a little
Freeshow.
bit here and see how that goes. I just downloaded it, trying to open it right now, but maybe I'll chime back in towards the end of the show after I poked around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Then up next on the show, I need to navigate my gazillion windows here. We have the Churchfront Conference. Guys, I want to remind you about the Churchfront Conference, which is coming up here in October 1st and 2nd. It's going to be here before you know it. Go ahead and snag your tickets, especially snag them before the next price increase. It's going to be at the end of May. So you have some time, but look at this lineup of speakers: Chad Vegas, Zach Hicks, Ben Haley, Drew Brashler, Luke Jackson, Becky Yekema, Kelsey McGinnis, Eddie Hoagland, Ezra Cohen, Christian Ponsford.
Oh, wow.
Speaker list always subject to change because some of these people haven't given me like 110% confirmation, but I'm like, I'm going to put you on the website anyway. So go get your tickets now today for the Churchfront Conference. It is the highlights of the year. I mean, just look at the fun that we had here from last year. So it was good times. I was so exhausted that week because that was a week after we had our baby. But man, this coming year, it's going to be another great time. So go
party.
to churchfront.com/conference. Or I think if you type in churchfrontconference.com, it brings you there as well. All right. So up next, I want to show you guys what I'm working on at the Rock Harbor Church. So I've been using Whimsical to kind of play around with this. And, this will be nice. It'll be easier when you guys, or when I need to make a Matterport of Rock Harbor so people can kind of see the layout a little bit better. But here is the beast of a rack that I am building right now at Rock Harbor. It's a 45U rack that's backstage. And just to kind of give you the overview, like spatially, the way things are, like don't, this isn't really how it is in real life, but I'm just going to show you the different sections of the diagram so you kind of know what the cable runs are going to. So like this is our stage over here, drums, keys, vocals, or whatever. I'm just using simple frames to kind of mark it out. We've got 2 projection screens. These are just kind of to represent our lighting connections. And then this is to represent our front of house workstation. And then this is our, what I'm calling rear wall, where we have like our stage display screens. We got 2 of them, and we got 2 cameras on the rear wall. They all need cable runs. So what I like about this setup is it really utilizes this rack at the back of the room, behind the stage. Is kind of our central hub for everything, right? So if I go in through this rack build, and you guys can chime in if you're like, hey, I got a different idea or whatever. But looks like Adam and I were talking about something here. Oh yeah, about labeling power and stuff like that. So at the top of the rack, some sort of rack mount battery backup. Usually they take like 2U space. Because then that way, it's like if power went out, we'd be good to go. I might have to get multiple battery backups though, right? Because I don't know. There's quite a few items in here. It's not like they're that insane power draw, but I'll figure that out. I got more space to work with if I need like a second battery backup. And then on top, I'll have my Wave server and host computer taking up 2 rack U space. Then I'll have my XMac server. That's a 1U space. Another shelf, just like a 2U shelf. We've got like a laptop we're going to use, and I'll just kind of sit in there. So this is kind of the first thing about this design that I'm excited about, is just using KVM control to keep all these computers rack mounted back here. And then you could see these orange lines represent the KVM Ethernet runs to go to front of house. And I was explaining to you guys earlier, it's like, I just feel like it's a paradigm shift for me to now think about like, think along the lines of like workstations. It's like, how many workstations do you need to operate on a Sunday? And then what do those workstations need access to? And then instead of like having to install the full on computer and all the computer IO at the workstation, just get a KVM there, because yes, run the KVM line from the rack to the workstation. But I feel like in terms of all of your like IO routing from the computers to all your other devices here, it's going to be much simpler to do it all at the rack instead of having to like have all my computer up here and let's say a deck link, and then I have to run 4 SDI cable runs from front of house all the way back to my video switcher, right? That I would rather just have as few of those types of runs happening as possible, And then like the only SDI run now that I have to front of house is for a SDI for a multi-view from the switcher. And then
Mhm.
all of my other SDI runs are going to cameras or output displays, things like that. So SDI is in purple. And then I think I did cat cables in blue. And then KVM is also cat cables in orange. But this kind of gives you an idea of kind of what I'm thinking. So I know, again, am I missing something about the whole KVM setup with workstations? And again, these are large churches do this, like Life Church, like they use all KVM. A lot of the bigger solutions use KVM because then it also makes it more flexible for you to be like, wait, I want to move my computer graphics Pro Presenter computer here. Well, all you have to do is literally just like move a KVM or unplug the Ethernet lines and then just replug them in. And then there's probably more pro, like crazy, like, but probably way more expensive KVM solutions that would allow you to switch between computers at the same workstation. I think that's a little overkill for what most churches, small to mid-sized churches would need and just be too expensive. But for these KVMs I'm getting, it's only like $200 for a decent KVM to give you USB and HDMI for your workstation setup. Um, so all that back to the question, like, what do you guys think? Am I missing anything?
I
Will
think
this
it's
work?
important. I think it's important to tell the audience listeners like the philosophy of why we believe so strongly in this. And I think it's because we've done so many tours and, on-site assessments with churches where what we really notice is that there are cables everywhere in the tech booth. Nothing
Yep.
is labeled. Nothing is organized. Nothing is rack mounted. So when it comes to troubleshooting, which every church, has to deal with troubleshooting at some level, there's no clarity on what step to take first, right? You're looking at like 16 adapters and dongles and cables running that have duct tape wrapped around the cable as their label, and they're all laying on the tech booth desk. And then again, when you talk about how are you stewarding your resources, when something breaks and you're like, hey, I need to upgrade this, and church says, man, why would you need to upgrade that? That's brand new. And you can't even show them like the validity of what's not working clearly from your booth organization. It becomes really convoluted to have any clarity on goals or implementing new strategies. And so what a KVM does is it allows you to plan. And again, we rack mount everything so that everything's really organized, really detailed, labeled well. And then your workstation environment is very clean and again, scalable. It's very easy to manage, but specifically, you really can't build a rack without planning a little bit, right? You can't just pop things into the rack and hope that everything works. Like you got to kind of take some design steps to lay it out, count the units up, look at power, look at distro, look at backup, all that kind of stuff first. And then that way, you're not letting Joe Schmo tinker every week with, this cable and that cable in your tech booth. Everything's pretty, reserved in their back of house or in your rack room, equipment room, by the stage, wherever your rack might be. And it kind of, I think it will create less headache and less opportunity for failure in the long run because people aren't as engaged with the physical devices. Whereas, man, I know I've sat at tech booths where there's ATEMs and there's like dongles coming out of the ATEM Mini Pros and there's, HDMI adapters out of the computers and people are unplugging and plugging and troubleshooting that way. And it's just, how are you supposed to maintain clarity and focus in that environment? So that's, hopefully you're not hearing us do like a KVM is all the rage, so we're doing it for like the aesthetic. I think it breaks down to way more important things than just the aesthetic of the experience when it comes to tech ministry.
Yeah, and I think the experience as an end user is so much more like enjoyable and less stressful. You don't feel like you're walking up to something and you're responsible for, the entire infrastructure or physical way that something is plugged in or laid out. You're just like, okay, the production director or whoever is like in charge of the system has put together systems that work, so I can just walk up and use the software to do what I've been asked to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's the total win-win situation.
Yep. Yeah, and so these are the KVMs I've been using. We mentioned them before on the show, and now I'm set up like Churchfront's a dealer for them and stuff like that. Obviously, this is going to go into like our projects as we start proving this, but like the ones that have been working well for me so far were the AV over KVM extender, and then it is these guys here. There's one that is, this is like a basic one, and I've been just testing this real quick at the church. Like they do have one that works with like a network router if you don't want to make a bunch of AVM line runs. I'm fine just running it. I want to run a dedicated run, but I need the right Ethernet switch. Whatever switch I was using at the church was not compatible with this type of setup here. Like they weren't linking. But just doing a point to point run from transmitter to receiver, like that's rock solid so far. And I think for most churches, like there's less of a chance of something like that failing when it's just point to point. You're not going to have, because you don't want the keyboard mouse connection, monitor connection glitching on your ProPresenter operator in the middle of a service, right? So I would rather err on the more conservative side of point to point connections there. And then they make some bigger ones, or ones that are maybe rated for just better, looks like higher refresh rates, or there's different lengths. So the one I got was like it's rated for 390 feet, right? So I can extend that workstation up to 390 feet away from where the computer is racked. Which again, for a lot of churches, small to mid-sized churches, that's plenty of length. So this is where we're looking at them. This is where we've been testing them out, but you guys will see these things. I'll feature it in our upcoming YouTube videos once the final design is deployed. So,
are you still using our favorite Logi MX keys and mouse?
Oh no! So I actually just ordered on Amazon. The ones I just ordered yesterday they're actually inexpensive. Why is Amazon business account so weird? Start shopping. Okay, just take me to the homepage. Right here. I literally just ordered them yesterday. Inexpensive. I wanted wired. Like I don't want to. I know the Logi ones are wired as well, but I don't want to deal with wireless keyboards and mice at front of house. So I got these little guys. I think it might be. Is it the Amazon Basics brand? No, it's some other brand, because I just wanted a nice little slim one. So it's got a nice little slim profile to it, and it's got USB connection. So I'm not worried about batteries and stuff. Simple mouse setup, only $17, right? And this is one of those deals where it's like order another extra set just for backup if you need it. Right. It's that cheap. And then if you go back to my orders here, I actually just ordered for my Wave system, or my LV1, the desk is our stand-up desk is like only 2 feet deep, so I'm kind of limited. Like I can't put a keyboard, then my Fit controller, then my touch screen on the same surface. So I got this little keyboard tray to go underneath my Fit controller is going to be right here, like on the desk, and that'll be nice and streamlined. And that's the other thing I want to say too, is like, again, we just have like a stand-up desk at the back of the room. I don't really want to install a proper booth in the back of the room, because it takes a lot of space. We need all the space we can get in that church. So it's like, why not use a super like small footprint front of house setup? And we don't have a need to like elevate it where we're at. Like it's fine. Our front of house mix guys, we often go into the center of the room to mix with an iPad anyway. So those are some of the other factors that come into play here. But even if you do have a dedicated booth, like I still think the KVMs would clean up a lot of this. Yep. So moving down, I've got shelf space for encoders, for whatever encoder solution we go with, probably the Spark. And I've just got blanks in here just to kind of like give me space in between things. Like I like to put blanks around like a video switcher, because I'm going to be putting my hand in there to like plug stuff in, and you don't want to be like squeezing your hand in between devices trying to plug in SDI cables in the back of your switcher. Ethernet switch, I'll probably get a 24 port one. DMX distributor, Pro Church Lights panel thingy, whatever you call their panel. Like it controls their panel that you can put on the wall. Power sequencers, like I've got room. I've got one right now, and I think I'm going to need actually just more of like a power strip, I guess, because I don't need a sequencer. I just need something to plug into the sequencer to give me more power for all these devices I'm plugging in, because I'm maxing out the sequencer itself, right? And then down here, I have all the audio related things. So wireless mics and distro, in-ear monitors and combiner, blank spaces for a future stage box if we add more inputs, outputs, or, you know, I've got a couple more blanks for wireless stuff as well. And then down here is just patch bay space. This is for those 16 channel, just XLR to XLR patch base, so that any patching we need to do happens from the front of the from the front of the rack, instead of having to like pull the sub snake in and like, you know, move that around. Again, this will be much more helpful for you guys to understand when I make the YouTube video about it. But that's really it. Because then like here I've got my audio runs. These are my sub snakes going to the stage. They have 8 ins, 4 outs. Gives me plenty of IO on the stage for all the things at different locations on the stage. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, sorry, I know I've been talking a long time, but the guys, let me know your thoughts. I'll take your free advice down in the comments how you change this design.
It's good. I love it. Rock Harbor. When's it supposed to be done? When are you supposed to wrap up?
I'll get it. It'll all get done in the next, probably by like early May. You know, some of this, again, Rock Harbor is more of it's like our research and development for what we're doing for our clients. So some of this isn't like, I'm kind of like allowing the art of the design to kind of happen as I do it and as I try out these different things. But I'd say by the end of May, this will definitely be nice and tidy, nice and kind of finalized, at least for the time being, for like maybe a month or so. Then I'll change it. But I'm excited. I mean, but do you guys agree, like philosophically, like with our even with the larger integration projects, like based on what we've seen at previous client churches and what we've seen at other churches with setups we like, it just really makes sense for churches to think more critically about having the central rack or rack room, and then from there making their runs to workstations or video audio inputs and outputs.
Think about the churches that you've seen with like the huge spools of cable coming through the drop ceiling or something, or through I know I just saw a couple churches with like PVC, you know, in their floor or whatnot, and there's just huge drops of like every cable you can imagine, Ethernet, audio, SDI, like there's just so much. So if all you have to do is run, you know, think about if you run, even if you have 5 workstations, that's a lot at your tech booth, but if you have 5 workstations, you're only running 5 Ethernet cables from your rack to your tech booth. And then such a minimal wire management or cable cage mounted underneath the desk or something like that, or a little loom could wrap all that up, and you could hang it so that you're not looking at a mess of cable behind the booth even then. So I think just doing like the visualization process, even reverse engineering that, it encourages me to think about all that those massive looms of cable, you know, going away.
Yeah, and if you guys have a better KVM solution than the AV access ones, let us know. Again, I think there's the maybe super pro level KVM stuff out there, but budget wise, can smaller to mid-sized church justify probably some of these systems that cost in the potentially tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like it would be super slick, because imagine you're at any workstation and you can just switch between all those computers in the rack from the same workstation. Like that would be cool, but you know, a little overkill. All right, Adam, you're quiet over there, bro. What are you thinking? Do you want to move on to your project?
Yeah, we can do that. So I just did my first, you know, I think we talked about this on the last one. Maybe we said we were going to get into it, Matterport scans. So this is a church that recently signed up with us. They initially had a different room layout. So they had like their stage section here and then just chairs all around. But they're in the remodel phase. So they're going to be redoing the flooring. Obviously, they're doing drywall work at this point. But I was able to capture this space with our Insta360 cameras and using Matterport. So, you know, you walk in, you got bathrooms down here, some offices, but the main space that we're looking at is here. And as you can see, this is not a giant space. So just like we were talking about the KVMs, the only thing that's going to be down here is audio. So we're just going to have a sit-stand desk with a Vantis, maybe an SQ. We still got to officially decide on that. But then we're just going to be running some pipe through the floor here so we can pull Cat 5 and power to this one station. And then there's going to be drums in here. And then for our stage, we've unfortunately got these poles that weren't able to be moved. So we're looking at LED wall here, potentially some side LED walls. And, you know, LED walls are going to be key here because of these beautiful windows and all the natural light that comes in. You know, being able to
Yeah, it's
keep
gonna be
that,
cool
I think,
space.
is going to be awesome.
I love the stained glass look of that space, and man, this would be fun. I'm excited about this
Yeah.
project.
And then, you know, obviously acoustic panels because of all this drywall. And then for the PA, they actually have, you can see where their old PA was hung, KLA rig from KC. So we're going to see if we can keep the KLAs, if we had to add a box or what, just to save some money. But being able to put, LR, a left-right line array
Yeah, in
hanging
this
in
case,
here.
I would keep the. I think we keep the KLAs. If assuming they're like in good working order, like yeah, they're gonna be. Those are budget line arrays, but like I think this room, the treating the room properly is going to be a priority for any PA that
Yep.
goes in there. So it's like I think for them to really to get this first phase of the building done in a way that's going to be like I think have a good wow factor for the congregation too in terms of just like the difference in the quality is like getting the treatment in, using the existing PA. We can have that, you know, designed properly and tuned properly, and then you know, I do think the LED wall sooner than later aesthetically will really help them out for that stage design and practically for just putting content up there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was at a church. I was at a church this weekend for had an altitude LED wall that had a nice center screen, and then they did the lyric ribbons on the top left and right, and I do think that would be kind of a cool use here of that same setup, where like that space, you know, yeah. So you're looking at they could do like a 10 by 20. It's usually 10 by 20 ish LED wall on that center screen, and then they could get probably like a 2 foot by 8 foot video ribbons on the right and the left there of the stage, kind of in those like angled little walls that you're seeing there. I think that would be really cool to do in this setup.
Yeah.
Oops.
I have a question about the space. This is a really cool before and after, guys. So if I can't wait to actually, you know, have this project kind of complete, and then we can show you the before picture of this space, because to see the renovation that they're doing and how they're maximizing the space is actually pretty cool. But what's up top, those drywall sections that are like kind of like pyramid looking, are those functional or are those just aesthetic?
Yeah, I just wanted to visualize where a 10 by 20.
Oh, that's so cool, dude. Matterport is so stinking cool.
That
how
is
it
really
can
cool.
Just draw out simple dimensions for stuff like that, man.
Yeah. So these two spaces, this is okay. This is one of the reasons engaging with us at this point during a build is important. The idea was like, hey, let's put our production booth up here and our translator up here. The thing is, this room is much smaller. It doesn't look like it, but you know, there is way more space up here. And they wanted to put multiple positions in this spot for the production team, and it just wouldn't fit more than really one, maybe two people comfortably. So I opted for this to be the production booth for video, CG, like Pro 7 operation. I mean, yeah, video switching and computer graphics are the main things that are going to happen in here. Because I think we'll be fine with an audio off of here. But, you know, should you want a tech director or something else putting that here, think about the wires, right? So if there's LED walls here or here or here, if there is, we're going to put some stage pockets or stage boxes on the walls here. drums are here, audio's here. Everything's like right within this section except audio.
Yep.
So being able to keep all of that wiring in this tight of a space and keeping like the rack that hosts everything, like we just saw in the rack in the Rock Harbor, like in one spot, you don't need the KVMs because your production computer's right there. Maybe one KVM for front of house. And then also you don't really
Or you could
need a
still,
window.
but then again, Adam, you'd still, even in a one room like that, I would still use KVMs just to get from my rack, because I would still advocate for rack mounting those computers in that room up there, and then using a
Yeah.
KVM to maybe a table setup in that room. I can't remember what the inside of that room looks like, with like 3 different workstations at the table, and then maybe a couple multi-view or screens on the wall for like multi-views and stuff. I would still use it because, again, it's still going to be cleaner setup at the actual workstation, instead of having to
Right.
like, again, run
Yeah.
your CG video outputs, even if you're running it just 15-20 feet from that computer to the rack over here with the video switcher. It's like, no, let's just do the KVM run, even that far of a
One
run.
cable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
so that's, again, we'll see, like, kind of testing out some of these things here in the next few weeks. And again, some of these KVMs, I'm fine basically, like, having a backup in case if one of them fails. Like, you could easily swap it out and be pretty straightforward. But I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
KVM's not a
Especially
new
if it was
concept.
pre-racked. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm excited for this. Just having this, mixed position here. We talked about making sure they weren't, centered with their ears, like with, 6 inches in front of the glass, like either putting it offset, because they're gonna have a row or they're gonna have chairs and they're gonna have a spot to walk
Yeah.
down the center. And then
Another
in
thought
here's
before you
an
go in there, though,
overflow.
Adam.
Yeah.
Another thought is, go back in the middle. So, like, at your tech booth, we want to have, because it'll just be, we're doing probably an SQ there, right, for the actual mixing console.
Yeah. Yeah. SQ
Yeah.
or Avantis. Either one.
Yeah. So we'll have obviously an audio Cat 5 run, or whatever, Cat 6, whatever we got to use for the Avantis and stage box, and then the KVM, because we want to have like do we want to have a computer there for like multi-track recording,
Yep.
virtual sound check. But again, it's going to be just the monitor, mouse is there, and the computer can be up in the tech booth. And then
Yep. And then Dante.
and then a Dante. And then also I'd recommend a multi-view run probably there as well, to have like a little multi-view monitor at front of house, so they can see what's going on for the stream, right? And making it, how could we design front of house where, like, and maybe we can find a more advanced KVM setup that actually could give someone there at front of house the ability to swap between the audio virtual soundcheck machine and the Pro Presenter machine, so that, what if someone like literally just wants to be able to, you still have like effectively one computer workstation besides your mixing console at front of house, but that one workstation could easily KVM into other computers.
Yeah, like
So I
someone's
think that
doing
could be
a wedding, and it's just one tech person that's there. They just have to be able to, trigger a few different lighting scenes and some slides and audio all at once. So I
Yeah.
think that is something to consider too when we're building these out. Is there are times when one person has to do multiple things, even if it's not super complicated. They still need to access
And
those
granted,
different
the other
workstations.
the other even simpler way to do that is just use screen share software,
Yep.
over the
Yep.
network, and that's another way they could do that. But it's like, maybe, I think the KVM is great because you're not just screen sharing; you're like literally using USB peripherals to actually see what that computer's doing. And the other thought is, thinking if their tech booth is in that weird space where they can't really see what's going on stage, having probably even a PTZ Optics basic PTZ camera that's mounted somewhere on the back of the room here, so that we can have a monitor in the media booth of what's happening in the room, right? And I think
Yep.
you could do a simple POV camera, but why not get a little? Also, you could do a simple PTZ camera, so then you could actually move it around if you need to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Because even if they were in this space, they would need to use this window for multi-views because there's nowhere else to put multi-views and computer workstation monitors. So, even if you could say like, oh, they could have had that window, it's like, well, where would they put their multi-views then? Because this is the wall. But yeah, they're going to have, I don't know if it's going to be a side to side or up to down, maybe kind of door here that they're able to close this space off, but then this would be overflow. So they could leave it open during services and someone could be here, being able to see this. But they also can orient it so that, you could be having some speakers and a TV or something here for different events throughout the week. So we are going to be doing Dante, but we also are talking about doing NDI because they have so many spaces that they want to put screens and be able to show different things on those screens. And the guy here is very network savvy. He's already running Ubiquity Network, so we'll be able to get all that. I didn't scan the downstairs room, but there's a downstairs room that is just like also another space that they're using right now as their worship space, but eventually it'll be like youth and overflow. And so we'll be wanting to pull audio and video up and down from there as well.
Cool.
So, yeah, no whimsicals for this yet. Working on that. But I think, Luke, you've got some projects that have you started some whimsicals that you have Matterport as well?
No, not yet, but I've got whimsicals for ongoing projects that don't have scans, and I've got Matterports for projects that don't have whimsicals. So it's all, we're building the plane as we fly it. So
Yep. That's what we do here, and it's been a blast. But I actually think I know we get another project. We thought about recording in the show today, but you know what? I think we'll save it for a future episode. Then
stay
we can
tuned.
have maybe some whimsicals to go alongside some of these designs. Guys, let us know what you think about this type of content. Hopefully, it's helpful. Just because for us, it's helpful because we're so busy. The three of us just need to talk through these designs and brainstorm. And why not share it with you guys, right? Like, you can be a part of the process. I think hopefully that's fun for some of you, and hopefully you get inspired by some good use cases and ideas for your own projects. And as always, if you want us to do this for your church, then reach out for the Churchfront Accelerator program, and we'd love to chat about that. We are, getting pretty busy. So if you want our help, you got to let us know sooner or later so we can actually fit you in. And there's a lot of exciting things coming with Churchfront. I think we've been going for 6-7 years strong, but I think we're about to experience some pretty significant growth in a lot of these areas in the coming months and years. So, hopefully you guys. Yeah.
I want to add one thing too. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I'll just wait to reach out, I would recommend just, even if you're thinking bare minimum right now at a little bit about any kind of project that you're working on that you might need some help with, reach out earlier rather than later. The worst that can happen is you get on a phone call with our team. We get you clarity on what those next steps are. And even if it's not the right fit to do the program right now, at least you have the next steps to handle that appropriately. But what's really, really hard for both, a team like us, but also for a person in ministry is if you get 40, 50% into a project and then you realize you need help and then you've got to work backwards, you lose time, you end up spending more money. Like, just always, always, always reach out earlier than you think you need to. I promise it will not return void in that time invested in education. So hop on the phone with our team. It's free. So you can chat through with Eric or myself and get a conversation going there.
Yeah. And what's cool is when you get chatting with Eric, he's going to be the point person to help kind of assess your situation and what you need. And then if it's clear you guys need some integration done, he'll pass your file along to me personally, and I can help. Like, I'll look over the details of it. I can help provide some just rough kind of bids/project scope of what this is going to take for you guys. Because I know a lot of churches are like, especially small to mid-sized churches, if you're not doing a big capital campaign, you want to improve things and you want to do them in phases, maybe over 1 or 2, 3 years. we can help you map that out, and we're willing to like work with you through that process. So I can give you at least a rough roadmap of what all that would entail, and like cost wise, time wise, to get this type of stuff done. And yeah, you, like Luke said, it's like you want to start the plan correct from the beginning, not have to reverse things down the road. So the other thing too, I want to put a bug in your ear, because I think people listening to the podcast this far in is like, hey, regionally, we're probably going to get to a place where we need to start recruiting some help on some of the installations for these projects, where you wouldn't have to be an install manager, but someone who comes out and joins one of our team members like Luke or Adam for a day to get things done. And, you know, you'll make money doing it, and you got to be competent and a good worker and stuff. So I'm just going to put that out there. I don't really have a form yet for you to fill out, but I want you guys to be thinking of that as Churchfront continues to grow. We're going to need more help, and it might be a cool like side hustle for some of you to help out other churches, make some money, learn about what we're doing, learn about integration, and it's a win all around. So I think that's all we have for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you in the community, and reach out at churchfront.com if you'd like to work with us, and we'll see you next time.